I participated in 16 drafts this year, and I'm going to recap how that went coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Beat the Odds, your source for expert fantasy baseball insights all season long. Opening day has now come and gone, and I've got my thoughts on the 16 drafts that I participated in this year. If you're a fan of this type of content, I'd encourage you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. Now, I completed 8 Yahoo drafts, 7 10-team and 1 12-team, and a mix of roto head-to-head points and head-to-head category leagues. I did 7 snake drafts, and one of them was an auction draft. I also completed 8 ESPN drafts, 6 snake and 2 auction this time, and another mix of roto season points and head-to-head points and categories. I would encourage you to take a look at the drafts and let me know how you think I fared. Now, I've compiled all of my picks to see which players I targeted the most, and I'm going to share that with you now. So the first 5 rounds of any draft are pretty much straightforward. Most managers are simply looking to fill their rosters with the best players available. I'll give you a short recap on how my early rounds went, but I'm going to dive a little deeper to the picks that I made from round 6 forward. My strategy in all my drafts was to prioritize hitters over pitchers and to try to avoid picking up a reliever as much as possible. Looking at how I drafted, I'd say I did just that. So in my auction drafts, I would aim to get a top flight starting pitcher and 1 or possibly 2 elite hitters, and I was able to lock down Scooball, Witt, and Guerrero in my Yahoo 12-team league. I was able to get Guerrero, Judge, and Logan Gilbert in my ESPN 12-team league, but I wasn't able to secure a top flight starting pitcher in my ESPN 10-team league to go with Guerrero and Witt. Now, admittedly, I did get lucky on my snake drafts, snagging a top 3 spot in 50% of those drafts. All told, I have shares of the top 3 players, that being Ohtani, Witt, and Judge, in 11 of my 16 leagues. I fared well with my top flight starting pitchers as well, landing 4 shares of Scooball and 1 share of Wheeler amongst my 16 leagues. For those curious, I did pick Scooball over Paul Skeens in a couple of my drafts. Now, I tried to stay away from a closer within the first 5 rounds, but I did end up selecting Mason Miller in the 5th round of one of my drafts. I was successful, however, in not selecting a catcher in the first 5 rounds. So moving past the early stages of the draft, I would start to get a little more selective in who I would pick up, which is really where you're going to get to see what my strategy was this year. I had a nice variety of players that I selected past the first 5 rounds. I was successful in getting a handful of shares of a few players listed on screen. I'll admit, I picked up Luis Heel before the oblique strain, and I'm kicking myself for it. Now, McLain is likely out for a month with nerve irritation in his triceps, so while that's going to be inconvenient in the short term, I expect to use his services a lot when he returns. I'm a huge fan of paying the discounted price for players coming off of an injury, so 5 shares of Sandy Alcantara makes a lot of sense for me. Same goes for Spencer Strider. Now, I got Dylan Cruz after the first 150 players were off the board, which is, in my mind, a small price to pay for someone who's going to challenge for 20 homers and 40 stolen bases this season. Brian Wu, minus the K rate, should give me 150 innings pitched of solid ratios. If Robert, by some miracle, puts in a healthy season, this might be the player that will return the best value. I'm hoping to see some more hot streaks from Butler this year. Now, I'm sure that you've caught on that I like to take risks on proven players coming off down or injured years, and that speaks true of Bichette. He had a really good spring training where he hit .373 with a .411 on base percentage and a .1078 OPS with 4 homers leading off for the Jays. He has the potential to return 3rd round value this year. So there were 2 players that I'm really excited about, but for vastly different reasons, and I picked up quite a few shares of these guys. The first is Willson Contreras. The cat now should be out of the bag. The Contreras is not going to be featured behind the plate, which should lock him in for a lot more plate appearances over at first base. Now, that's going to prove valuable in fantasy, as he's going to be able to slide into the catcher spot in your lineup, but he could amass 15 to 20% more at bats than your average top 10 pure catcher. So I'm banking on him being this season's Yainer Diaz. And the second player was James Wood. Sure, he's going to strike out a lot, and he's not a great fielder, but the Nationals don't care. He's going to be featured in a premium spot in that lineup, and you shouldn't be surprised if he becomes the best fantasy player on that team. Now, as a bonus, he had a .354 on base percentage and 295 at bats last season, So he, in theory, could have 100 runs, 25 homers, 85 runs batted in, and 35 stolen bases in his immediate future. So there were also two players that I tried to get in as much as I could, and both carry a lot of risk, but they could also pay off quite nicely. The first is Felix Bautista. Now on Sunday, it was announced that the man known as the Mountain made the opening day roster, and he's expected to take the 9th inning role this season. There was some question about his availability coming back from Tommy John surgery, but it looks like all systems go. I got him around pick 100, which is where I like to get closers with high upside. The second player was McLain. Now I guess I'm a sucker for punishment, but McLain looks like he's fully recovered from shoulder and rib surgeries that kept him away from the diamond in 2024. He oozes potential after hitting 16 homers and stealing 14 bags as a rookie in 23. Like Bautista, I found McLain available in the 10th round, which I'm happy to pay for a potential premier player at a shallow position. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I'm going to sign off for now, but I will catch you guys on the next episode.